You're going to solve a murder. You get to see all the clues, meet all the suspects, and I'll even go you one better. You get to see the murder happen. So, pull up a chair. Have a drink. We're up next. David Tate was the marketing director of Abyss Jeans. He made a fortune making people think that sex and slacks were synonymous. In order to do that, he had to exploit the trends in American taste, as well as the insecurities of people like you and me. Now, what kind of man is able to do that? Well, in this case, a dead one. Come on. Let's go see who pushed David Tate into the gap. Remember to keep your eyes and ears open, huh? And, you know, sometimes the most significant clues are those that seem most insignificant. One time, I had a case that hinged on a dog hair. Well, you drive. I'll tell you all about it. I loved treasure hunts as a child. Search for all the clues, find the big surprise at the end. It's kind of what we're doing here. Except instead of getting a couple of colored eggs or a sack full of jelly beans, we get ourselves a killer. But the process is the same. You keep your eyes and your ears open and you follow the trail. Right. And don't let your big sister beat you up and steal all your eggs.
I've been checking the place out. Some major partying going on here last night.
Oh, sure. Such a glamorous night spot.
That's the point. These things are inhabited by Xers. bored 20-somethings that think yuppies stole their future, so they rave. I mean, they party. We're never in the same place twice. You gotta spend like 3 hours trying to find your way here. And here is usually a condemned building like this one. It's illegal. It's a way of saying drop dead to the expensive discos last year's trendoids went to.
A little sex, a little danger, a little rebellion against authority.
And what rave club would be complete without these smart drinks? Fruit punch mixed with choline, L-phenylalanine, glycosine.
Sounds like cough syrup.
Amino acids, chemical building blocks for proteins. But since the brain runs on amino acids, some people think drinking it makes you smarter.
I get the picture.
Yeah? Did you get this one? Killer Mimic Tate's ad campaign for Abyss jeans, leading him to the roof in a fatal swan dive. We also found this underneath Tate's windshield. Handwritten. Somebody by the name of Dalton wanted Tate to call right away. Something about not being finished with him yet.
What was my husband doing here?
That's what we hope to find out, Mrs. Tate.
He got a phone call in the middle of the night. He was supposed to be driving a friend home from a bar. I don't understand how he ended up in some warehouse.
This friend wouldn't be named Dalton by any chance.
No, Danny. The only Dalton I know is Courtney, the company receptionist.
Oh.
I need to see a Detective Spinoza. I need to identify my husband.
Yeah, he's right inside.
Thank you.
Well, I bet Courtney Dalton was receiving more than his phone calls.
David was my lover, but his marriage was dead long before we started spending our lunch hours making love on his desk. And his couch.
Did he argue with anybody last night?
Oh, yeah. Kelso was ragging on him for using rave in his ad. He called it cultural rape. He is so intense.
And Kelso is?
So deep. Of course, it was a drag when we were going together. Like when we saw Terminator 2, he stayed up all night screaming about how those bastards were stealing our future.
Yeah, I meant what's his name?
Oh, Kelso Gillis. He runs the Smart Bar. You can find him at the club tonight.
And where would I find the club?
Here's where you start. Look for a guy in day-glow headband, bell-bottoms, and a green shirt. Say, Al is my pal. He'll send you to someone else, who will send you to someone else, and then you'll go to someone else, and then you'll...
Thanks. Got it. See ya.
Bye.
You know, when I talked to Mrs. Tate and I asked her if she knew a Dalton, she said Courtney the receptionist, not Courtney the 22-year-old astronaut who had intimate knowledge of her hubby's office furniture. Maybe she forgot to mention it in the confusion, or maybe she's hiding something. Let's find out.
I assume that you're here to talk about my husband's little midlife crisis with Courtney Dalton.
Well, yeah, I was going to be much more delicate about it.
Did you ever have a garden, Detective?
No. Unless you count the one that's growing on my tuna salad in the fridge.
You dig, you mulch, you fertilize until the soil is the perfect growing environment. And then after all that work, do you know what happens? Weeds spring up and steal the nutrients from the ground before the little seedlings have a chance to put down their roots. Courtney Dalton was a weed.
And your husband was plucking her.
Excuse me. Once we started trying to have a family, David became terrified of his own mortality. He had to prove to himself he wasn't getting old.
Another man might settle for buying a new Miata.
When I found out and threatened to leave him, I believe that David, for the first time in his life, realized that his actions carried consequences. It actually strengthened our marriage.
Is that what he was doing at the rave club? Strengthening your marriage?
David had left himself wide open for a sexual harassment suit that would have ruined us. He needed to ease out of the affair gently.
That's what he told Courtney he was doing with your marriage.
Well, he wasn't trying to have a family with Courtney.
Were you and your husband having any luck?
I can tell you after my doctor's appointment. Excuse me.
Well, it's time for the big musical number, don't you think, kid? Come on. Put on your dancing shoes and let's boogie. Here, got some on ya.
Autopsy showed the tape was tanks full of brain drains.
Yeah, and why wasn't he smart enough not to lean over the edge of the building? Okay, let's go get directions to tonight's rave club.
Go to the phone booth on Sunset Asper Martin. She'll point you in the right direction. Hey. Keep your eye open for cops. Hey!
We got a warrant cleaned out Tate's office. What'd we find?
He's got a week's worth of messages here.
No. Your wife, your boss, your wife, whoa. Emily called. Her fertility profile is in. Question mark, exclamation point, signed CD.
Courtney Dalton?
Which means that she knew the Tates were trying to have a baby. Hey, kid. What do you got? No, I get the ink all over my fingers. Okay. The Rave Revolution, Where's the Blood? By Kelso Gillis. Oh. Our future was mortgaged to pay for BMWs and five-star lunches. We have no past. It was turned into advertising jingles for running shoes. We only have the now, and we must be willing to do anything to protect it, even at the cost of blood. Catchy, but it's a little long for a bumper sticker.
Yeah, well, the truth doesn't fit on a T-shirt.
That would fit.
David Tate sucked the soul out of his own generation, and he used their ideals to sell blue jeans. Would you excuse me, okay? He used his ideals to sell blue jeans and sneakers until the only dreams that they had left were dreams of selling products.
You're referring to the campaign for Abyss Jeans.
I knew he was bad news the first time Courtney brought him along, and the ad campaign proved it. Hey, you're a sellout, man. You're a sellout. You would sell out anybody just to sell your jeans, man. You know that's true.
Hey, pal, you guys are cultural icons. You're public domain. You don't play your cards right, you could be the next Luke Perry. Say, have you ever thought about marketing this stuff?
It's like the rest of your generation. You got a problem, grab some booze, do some blow. Anything to anesthetize yourself against the pain.
Of course, you don't approve of drugs, do you?
That's not a drug, detective. This does not remove you from reality. It makes you see things a little more clearly. Do you want to try some? Or don't you dare?
All right, make it a double. John Wayne. When was the last time you saw Count Tatula?
Last night, he was dancing with Courtney. They got in a fight. She got angry and left. It's about time she figured it out.
Figured what out?
That he'd been doing to her what he'd been doing to all of us. Nice hair.
You have a pencil?
Are you serious?
Something I picked up from the Hardy Boys. Now, what have we got so far? Got an uptight wife with a philandering husband. Got an angry mistress whose boss was using her for a little inspiration and a lot of sex. And we got an angry barkeep with a healthy hatred on for David Tate. And what have we here? Do you see what I see? An indentation burnished into the piece of paper Courtney Dalton gave us directions on. An indentation in the shape of an arrow. I think this leads us in a whole new direction.
It's an arrow?
Yes, I know that. The killer drew a series of arrows, which led David Tate to the rooftop of the rave club, where he was killed. Now, those arrows were drawn on your notebook, which is why there's an indentation left on that sheet of paper.
So, shouldn't you be talking to the killer?
Well, maybe I am.
You think I did it?
You knew that David Tate and his wife were trying to have a child. That's not exactly the kind of behavior of a husband who's about to split. I mean, isn't that why you were arguing with him last night?
No, that's what we were arguing about on Tuesday at the office. I am so stupid to listen to you, to believe you.
Emily thinks that if she gets me involved in her fertility rituals, we'll get back together. She's fooling herself. All I want is you.
Why'd you call him down to the club?
I guess I wanted to believe he was leaving her. Oh, but I had to drag him to the club that night. And then he kept looking at his watch as if to figure out how long he could stay before she got suspicious. So I dropped him.
Off the ledge.
On the dance floor.
But then you went outside and you drew these arrows.
Then I went to the bathroom and cried.
But then you came out of the bathroom.
Wait, what? Then who drew the arrows?
How am I supposed to know? The notebook was in my car. I drive a Rabbit convertible. It's really cute, but the top doesn't go up.
Sounds like the car for you.
Really? Thanks.
Stay.
What?
Emily Tate just called. She was packing her husband's things and found some letters to David we ought to see.
Oh, love letters from Courtney?
Yeah, love letters from Kelso Gillis, threatening to kill him.
This is all about genes to you. Selling yours and getting inside Courtney's. And if I see you near her again, I'll kill you. Guess he couldn't find a hallmark that would cover it.
If it weren't so tragic, Lieutenant, I'd burst out laughing.
How's that, ma'am? Don't you just love Dragnet?
David threw away everything we worked for to be one of the kids again. And the only one who actually believed he could be one was himself. Excuse me.
Boy, I'm going back and forth so much on this case, I'm getting whiplash. All right, let's pick up Kelso Gillis. Could use a couple of glasses of Braino and some straight answers. Bad news, Mrs. Tate?
My doctor needs to see me right away. My fertility test read high levels of protein. It could be high blood pressure or gestational diabetes, even liver disease.
Well, can we give you a lift?
No, thank you, Lieutenant. I prefer to cry in private.
It wasn't a threat.
You are not a man, you are pollution. And you will be eliminated. If that's not a threat, then what is it?
A manifesto.
Excuse me?
This is our manifesto that those who stole our future and raped our dreams must pay. See, this is our manifesto.
Now, let's get to the point. She broke your heart, okay? And not only did she dump you, but she dumped you for somebody who represents everything that you hate. But since nobody likes to be dumped on, well, then you rave about purity and truth.
You would like to believe that there is nothing more to rave philosophy other than hurt feelings because you, my friend, are afraid of the truth.
No. Because I was 22. Her name was Renee, and when she went back to her old boyfriend, I nearly became a Zen priest.
We just checked with the hospital, and Mrs. Tate's gonna be fine. She's there if you need her at home.
Okay. It's good to know. You know, what I don't know is whether I should let this kid go get a cold beer and a warm shoulder to cry on, or whether I should book him for the murder of David Tate.
I didn't kill him. I figured if that's what she wanted, fine, let him have her.
I got motive, I got opportunity. Even if I didn't, I could hold you for peddling this snake oil of yours. It's not exactly FDA approved.
That can't hurt anyone. It's amino acids, man. That's the natural gasoline for the brain, you see? But the government is afraid of what will happen if we start to think for ourselves. You see what I'm saying? If we start to think for ourselves, do you get it?
Why don't you warm up a cell for young Trotsky? Figured it out? David Tate swore he was leaving his wife. Did Courtney Dalton swear she wouldn't become a murderer? Another spurned lover who believed his victim was what he always hated, Kelso Gillis, also believed Tate took his girl. And even his spurned wife, whom the victim robbed of everything she wanted. Emily Tate wanted a family and a white picket fence. A two-timing husband was not part of the picture. Spurns galore. But one of them used David Tate's ad campaign to murder him. You still confused, kid? Well, follow the arrows. And bring your handcuffs. You're gonna need them.
know, I never thought about catering these affairs before. Makes it kind of friendly, don't you think? All we need now are those little hot dogs. Got your clues together? Good. Let's get this party rolling. Ladies and gentlemen, why don't you help yourselves to a Braino? It might help the case go down smoother.
My husband already had a wake, Lieutenant.
Yes. Thanks to somebody on this rooftop. The night David Tate was murdered, he received a phone call from a friend in need. He went out to see his mistress, and you went back to sleep. You lured him down to the nightclub, but David wasn't in a partying mood. But then again, neither were you. You'd found out that he and his wife were trying to have a baby, and he was only using you for sex and inspiration. You fought, and you stormed out of the club. You said that you went and had a good cry. But did you actually go outside, grab your notebook, and draw these arrows which led David up here to the roof and his death?
No, and I resent that implication. Anyone could have taken the notebook out of my car. And that person owes me an apology.
And Kelso Gillis owes you an apology, too. Because when you were sleeping with David Tate, Kelso was sending him hate mail. I mean, it wasn't bad enough that he represented everything that you despise. He had your girl, too. And Tate even went one step further. He used your rave movement to sell Abyss jeans. How appropriate it would have been to kill him with his own ad campaign.
It would have if I thought of it and killed him, which I didn't.
But his wife did.
That's outrageous. I was at home asleep.
I don't think so. You followed David down to the club, and when you saw him there with Courtney, well, it all hit you. Here you were, trying hard to have a family, and this guy is dancing the night away with his 22-year-old receptionist. To add insult to injury, he even used it all in his Abyss campaign. So you snagged Courtney's notebook from her car, drew some arrows leading up here, and kicked your husband over the edge.
Nice story. But you have no proof.
The proof is in the punch. You had a smart drink at the club before you killed David. That's why when you had your fertility test, your protein levels went through the roof.
I could have made one. At home for breakfast.
It would have been pretty potent, strong enough to make you psychic. Because even though you'd never been here before, you knew enough to enter the warehouse through the exit door. Something you wouldn't have known if you hadn't been here that night. Because these clubs are never in the same place twice.
Wow, you're good.
I don't have any pearls of wisdom this week, kid. Here, have a drink and get back to me.